This shirt don't fit like it used to, and I need another notch on my belt. If you're looking for a six-pack, muscled up kind of man, better look somewhere else. Yeah, I can stand to lose a few pounds, but for right now, I'm working on my diet, but oh my God, ain't gotta be hungry to eat. Hot dog, it's a full-time job living good.
It's bacon time, folks. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Dads with Bacon Talking Sports. We are Dads. He is Bacon. We are here to wrap up the Super Wildcard Weekend and get ready for the Divisional Round of the NFL playoffs. We have some other things on our mind as well. So thank you for joining us on Dads with Bacon. Let's bring in our dads. Oh, I messed up. My mouse died on me, folks. Ben, welcome.
We are the victors. Thank you for the introduction. We're here to shock the whole NFL system. What we're doing here.
The Packers button is a hair trigger for you guys this week.
You know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. House money is a beautiful thing. I'll play it as long as I can.
Awesome. Stony Baloney.
What's
our man in New England?
What's going on, fellas?
Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, we're doing well.
Good. Good to see you.
Damn luck. I'm a creek swimming, moonshine sipping, deer skinning, beer drinking, Johnny Cash listening. Long necks and rednecks.
What's good, TJ? Welcome to the show, buddy.
Going on, fellas?
Hello, Troy.
What a freaking riff, man. I love this riff.
Happy rivalry week.
Well, it's not a rivalry until we get one, so that changes this week.
I don't want to work. Just want to bang on the drum all day. Banging on the drum all week, boys.
Keep banging on that drum, buddy. Keep banging on that drum.
That's right.
But were you
banging
working
on my drum with my Jack and Coke?
Nice. I have to set this up in the true progression of our beards that we have going on, because that's what the fans want. They want to make sure that our beard progression is set to. Oh, what's up, gentlemen? What a wonderful week of football we had behind us, and then Mother Nature decided to take a dump on us and freeze us to death. But everybody doing good. Everybody surviving, eating your chili, staying warm.
Yep. Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be an interesting weekend of weather for more football too.
It is.
You know, I gotta call one of our boys out here right away though. I'm very disappointed and really shocked and appalled by the actions of one of our team members here. He wasted a perfectly good beer because he could not handle drinking a purchased beverage in a cold stadium that even our wives could have handled better than he did. Marco, what happened, buddy? Come on.
Call him out.
Allow me to correct you. That was not my beer.
Okay.
I went with the spiked hot chocolate with Jim Beam because I knew better. But apparently some of the other folks in the stands did not. And when you open those beers at Arrowhead, almost immediately they would freeze and then they would overflow. And it was ridiculous. Something that they thought that they could take to the bathroom and thaw it out and then bring it back out to the -27 wind chill and open them up. And there was all these like guys that were trying to figure it out. And then nobody figured it out. The beers were inoperable. It was a no-go.
I think that's a good starting point right now, though, fellas. I think we should hear about Marco's experience at the game. I think that's a good starting point. Let's hear about it, and then we'll get into our wild card recap.
So that all transpired after our show, right? So
Yeah.
I get a call at work on Friday, and it's my son, my oldest son, and he's like, "Dad, there's $35." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, but I don't want to die on the way there. I don't want to die there, and then we still have to get back. And yeah, it's $35 for a ticket, but we got to eat. It's 2-3 tanks of gas. I'm not driving back right after the game, so we got to get a hotel room." But the wife was like, "No, you should do it. It'd be great for you and the boys to go do it. This is when am I going to go to a Arrowhead, playoff game, living in Chicago and for that price."
Yep.
So I was like, all right, fine. I was hemming and hawing, and then later that night I did it. And I was like, all right, boys, we got to get up early and we got to go. The worst travel was in Illinois. Just as we got out of Cook County and into Will County, the semi went sideways on the northbound lanes. There was cars all over the place. It was dangerous. Luckily, not a lot of cars out on the road. So, the one time it did get white out and we slowed down, but it was all in all pretty safe and good travel. Getting to the game when everybody waited to the last minute to show up, so parking was a little bit tough to get there on time because I wasn't about to hang out and
You need to be outside any longer than
we weren't going to tailgate. We weren't going to toss the ball around. I didn't want to sit in my seat or anything like that. The cool thing was that and again, I don't hang out too much in the 300 level now that I'm old and I don't want to fight. Everybody was cool. The Dolphins fans were cool. The Chiefs fans were cool. The bathroom was the warmest spot, but they did not have like a radio or television feed. So when you're in the restroom, you didn't know what was going on. So that was a problem. But someone had their phone on. So somebody was listening to the game. And then, it was just everybody was just happy to be there. It was a riot. You saw the video of Taylor Swift, but when the whole defense was doing the swag flow dance, whatever that's called, that was just, that was like an insult to it was during a TV timeout, so you didn't see, but like that was Dolphins are still trying to put something
showed
together.
it when they came back. Yeah.
The whole defense, everybody on the sideline, the whole stadium, everybody was doing it. That was really cool. And then we actually left a little bit early because freaking Mike McDaniel's calling timeouts, and he's doing that just to piss off the fans and keep them there and keep them cold. So he was using his timeout. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? We're out of here."
Well, you can't take him with you in the off season, so
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
If I had to freeze, you had to freeze. So.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was a blast, and
was there any point where you were like, "Oh man, this is getting crazy," or did you kind of at one point just kind of block it out and you were good?
So my 12-year-old and my 17-year-old, ironically, were following a Packer fan and a Steeler fan into the stadium. And so there's the walkway was over here, and then there's a road over there, and these knuckleheads are traipsing through the snow. Now, I've just been driving in intense conditions for 7 hours. I'm not ready to jump out of the vehicle and start running to the stadium like they are. So they're like, "Come on, old man, keep up." And I'm like, "You guys are going through the snow." So lo and behold, Jonah's toes were cold as soon as we got there. So I'm like, "Yeah, you guys were walking through the snow like numbskulls." And so there was a point in the beginning where I was like, "Oh, this is really tough. This is was this the right call?" There was still a whole row in front of us that had no seats taken. And we didn't even go all the way up to our seats. Like we came through the entrance and we just, everybody just started filling in like it was standing room only, get closer like penguins. We did the whole thing. So there was a little sketchy part there, but we warmed them up, and I honestly still cannot feel the tip of my thumb.
Really?
So, yeah. So I looked it up, and it should go away in like a couple of weeks or whatever. But that was the cell phone thumb. So when you take your phone out to put an update or take a picture or video or whatever, and before you can get done doing that 2 minutes, whatever, you were hurting. So whoever took their shirts off for several minutes, like, pray for their nipples, because
that guy was crazy.
I hope they fall off.
That guy was crazy.
Hey, I mean, yeah, crazy conditions, but hey, like you said, you made a memory of a lifetime there. So
yeah, it was definitely, I'm glad I made the decision to get bullied into it. So it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, considering that'll be the last win they have this year. So yeah.
Well, this year, but there's always next year.
It's a Cowboys thing.
That's what a lot of teams say too.
Oh man. So yeah, let's get into this wild card wrap up, guys. Where do you guys want to start?
Oh, I got a tab for you. I mean, I'd love to start with the Packers, just the way that they manhandled Dallas, so we could hit up TJ and Ben and Bacon right here.
Yes.
What we'll start with you, TJ. What happened?
Dude, I couldn't even tell you. I think Jerry Jones did something to that team on that small little week break that we had. There's no words for it, and I'll be honest with you. I feel like this was something that Dallas needed because they were such on a high horse. Winning the NFC East Championship, cool, that's great. Dude, Packers were a team, I even said it, I think, a little bit towards the middle of the week that I was actually kind of terrified because Jordan Love is on, he's on fire. And that's a guy that, yeah, he's not – I don't want to say he's not well known, but he's not known in the playoffs yet. That's a statement right there. You just beat a team who is undefeated at home. And not only did you beat them, but you beat them convincingly. And I always said there's no love for love in this household. Dude, we got love for love now. I mean, that dude just single-handedly embarrassed the whole team. I've got no hate towards the Packers. Although, Ben, I hate you. Aaron, I love you. But I mean, honestly, it was. So
to the victors, and we'll start with Ben. What'd they do right?
So it starts with the coin flip, right? That's where the whole game changed. I mean, honestly, I'm not even being a jerk right now. I'm being legit. The Packers taking the ball in that first possession set that whole tone. You listen. You could hear the stadium literally going like, "Okay, what's happening?" They got quieter as the Packers moved the ball on the field. First penalty, they're like, "Okay," if they're frustrated. Second penalty, like, "Oh wait, we screwed up." Okay, this keeps going. Packers get down, they score. Okay, we get the ball. Then we stop them. And it's kind of that moment of like, okay, fine, it's still a 7-seed Packers. We're okay. Then we scored again. And you can see it on McCarthy's face. You can see it on the fans' faces like, oh, no, here we go again. Like McCarthy knew at 14-0 that they had stepped into something they did not plan for. He knew that McCarthy knows that feeling because as a Packer fan, I've seen that face before. I've seen McCarthy's face in that game before all too often.
Yeah. Ben, just to add on to that too, this year with the Cowboys, every time they've struggled against the team, it's because they didn't get out to an early lead, and that's exactly what happened here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And what you saw there too, I mean, the announcers picked on the Dak and CeeDee Lamb. Something was not jiving there. I get that. Dak wasn't right. That's undeniable. But when I see the first half, it was just that when we went to 27-0 is when I actually started to believe, like, we're going to win this game. And it wasn't until then. Make no mistake, that pick six is when I was actually like, oh, we're going to win. Like 21-0 was not enough for me. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why. You guys have heard my rants for the last 20 weeks about how much I hate Joe Barry, and I still do. That 32 represents why Joe Barry is still getting fired. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what subs are in. The fact that the Cowboys scored 32 in that game on us is still embarrassing because of how that game was set up and playing. There's no reason for it. Why was it ever a 2-score game when we were up 48-16? Like, this is McCarthy's problem when he was here was no killer instinct.
Yep.
And Joe Barry is just another – he calls it a win. No, you're freaking putz, dude. Like, anyway, I'm not going to go –
Bacon, how'd you like the game, Bacon?
One second. One more thing. TJ, while I got you hating me, I know you're too young for this. This is what trophies look like. And I wanted to let you know that if the Cowboys can ever get over the hump, this is what they can have too. It's a beautiful thing. And this is my dream for you, buddy. I'm hoping for you eventually, pal.
Is that your punt, pass, and kick championship from 1999?
You need some water. You are smoking back there, dude. You are smoking right now. Holy cow! You need some water.
Bacon, how'd you like the game?
Well, I love the game, but I would agree with Ben in the sense that it wasn't until, I remember watching the game and it was 20-0, and I said my wife and I were watching it, and I said to her, I'm like, okay, this still worries me because all they have to do is go down and score a touchdown right here, makes it 20-7, and they get the ball back to start the second half, make it 20-14, and no sooner than I said that. Then Darnell Savage picks it off. And I'm going, run, you son of a bitch, run. And I'm just like, my daughter's sitting right there. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I need to watch my mouth there. But, I'm not used to seeing that with this defense. I mean, yes, they've had some good games, obviously, but especially Darnell Savage has not had the best season. I mean, I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago, he had like 4 or 5 picks. And since then, he really hasn't done a whole lot. So to see him step up, it was great. And then 27-0, I started to feel a little bit better. I would also agree with Ben in the sense that, yes, I don't want to dwell on negativity. I'd like to, focus on the positive of the fact that the Packers won the game. But at the same time, I was nervous when it was 48-32 because I thought all they need to do is score. And they were driving down, the Cowboys were again. And I'm thinking, they could still score here, get a 2-point conversion, and then get an onside kick. And it's a 1-score game with like 2 minutes left. And we all know after the Giants game how well Joe Barry's defense does when there's 2 minutes left to go and they're playing 10 yards off the line. So I agree with Ben on that also. And I have a feeling he's not going to be fired after all this.
Oh wow. But
I still think they need somebody else at defense coordinator. I keep going back to, when I was watching the, I don't know if you guys have ever seen I think I've talked about it on the show before, the 30 for 30 episode called The Two Bills, where they're talking to Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. And they talked about, I want to say it was the 1990 Giants Super Bowl champion team. And they said that, that season in the playoffs, they played 3 different teams. One was the Bears. I think another was the Niners in the NFC Championship game, and then they went on. I believe they played the Bills that year in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They said all 3 of those playoff games, Bill Belichick and Parcells worked together to design different defenses based on the strength of their opponents. Because the Bears were a big running team and everything. I mean, they took who they had, and they were able to design completely different schemes from one game to the next. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to have a defensive coordinator who could do that.
Well,
I feel like Joe Barry takes, it's the classic example of the square peg and he's trying to jam it into the round hole. It's just like, dude, I don't know. I'm not a genius. I don't know enough about football.
But it makes sense, right? Like, look at how all these, and here in Chicago, we fire the offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator can't figure out, okay, we need to run the ball more. We need to do something different and just change your playbook instead of sticking to your philosophy. And this is what I have to do. And if you can't do it, then you're fired. If that doesn't work, then on to the next. We got to bring somebody else in that says, okay, well, let's have a vertical offense. Like, it doesn't seem like it's that hard to change your scheme like that. And it's weird. I think it's probably more ego and I know better. I'm smarter than you type stuff where these coaches
for sure
refuse to make those changes.
Yeah. But anyway, okay. Let me just finish up by saying I am very happy, despite that rant. I am very happy, with the win. And I'm just going to say it right now, Ben, but this team is reminding me of the 2010 Super Bowl champion, and I'm going to leave it at that. That's it, right? A lot of parallels there if you look at those two. Anyway, go on. We can go on the next.
Back to Saturday and those games. The Texans and a poised C.J. Stroud put up 45 on the Browns and that awesome defense that everybody was touting. Is C.J. Stroud him?
Yeah. TJ Stroud, he's here. That kid's here. That that was a phenomenal game by that team. And D'Amico Ryan, he's proven why, if he's not unanimous coach of the year, I mean, what he's doing with a rookie quarterback and this young core that you have. You just went out and beat a top 3 defense, and you beat them handily. I mean, I know it's Joe Flacco, but that defense was no joke. Like, you made Myles Garrett so mad that they played that horribly. Like, you dismantled that Browns team. And I don't think right now anybody wants to see Houston the way they're coming in, because they're coming in hot. They're a young team, and they don't know any better. That's the crazy thing. Like, they don't know they're not.
It's dangerous.
You're not supposed to be there, and you're not supposed to be this good, this fast. So they're just going out and playing football, man. And that spells dangerous for anybody in the AFC right now. So yeah, they really put the league. I think they put the league on notice big time these playoffs.
It's crazy how the perspective changes in such a short time, because last year when the Jaguars had their playoff run and kind of gave the Chiefs a run for their money in the divisional round, everybody thought, well, this is the Jaguars division for the next 10, 15 years. Look how the tides have changed that quickly. Like, now everybody says this is Houston's division for the next 15 years, you know?
Yeah. How'd you like that game against the Browns, Troy? As you look forward to your future opponents, the Houston Texans?
One game at a time. We still got to get by the big bad wolf there. You know, like Brandon said, though, man, Ben says too, they're playing with house money. It's exactly what the Texans are doing right now. Nobody thought the Texans were going to be here. Nobody had them in the playoffs. Maybe TJ, and you had him sniffing the playoffs. I don't know if you had him in there.
I believe we all laughed too. So
I
apologies, TJ.
We'll go back. We'll go back.
Sorry, man. You don't have to flip me off. Come on.
I think the odds if they go to the Super Bowl. Have you seen those odds?
It's got to be over 1,000, right?
20,000 to 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's insane,
man. All right,
but yeah, I'll echo Brandon's sentiments there. Like, they don't know. They know nothing about why they're not supposed to be here. They are just having a good time. They're playing good ball. Stroud is dotting it up. Nico Collins comes out of nowhere. The guy is all of a sudden a superstar wide receiver. They're scary. They are really scary. I mean, I think their defense is a little suspect yet, but they seem to make opportune plays at the opportune times. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you just need a turnover at the right time, or a big sack, or something to change momentum. And that's exactly what's happening for him right now. So in all seriousness, we'll get into this in the previews. I think the Ravens will beat them, but I would not be surprised if the Texans take them. I really wouldn't.
So before we do get divided and relive our rivalry and talk about our teams, let's bash Philly for a little bit, guys. How about that? How about that?
Who doesn't like that?
So Sirianni did not get fired, but the downfall yet, and the downfall.
I was going to say, I heard they're still talking about it.
So how'd you guys like that game?
Loved it. I fell asleep at halftime. I loved it.
The Eagles just kept doing Eagle things.
I'm going to go ahead and say Baker's done a lot of great things from this year. He's gotten this beautiful hat, and he bounced the Eagles from the playoffs. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and say, like,
he's your MVP.
Well, I understand that there's emotional reasons people want to make DeMar Hamlin that comeback player of the year. Joe Flacco is a good candidate, but I'm going to throw Baker Mayfield onto this conversation as a very strong candidate for this and what he's doing for that Buccaneers team.
I think they're the top three. Honestly, I do. I think they're the top 3 candidates.
Like, if you're looking at what Baker's doing, he's not only taken a situation that is with a coach that has failed in other locations, but he's also taking an offense that has criticisms for old receivers. I mean, I've heard some guys here call them grandpas, or nursing home receivers, whatever, but making them look great again. I mean, all in all, what I'm seeing here is Baker Mayfield has earned himself a legitimate contract here for this next offseason, and likely here in Tampa Bay.
So he's like the Donald Trump of the NFL? Or?
Well, I just make it great again, didn't I? But when I look at this right now, I mean, and I'll stop here in a second, but Baker's not great. And we get to the next conversations, I'll bring up my previous comments, but this is why I will harp on the idea of careful who you call a bust and how fast you call them a bust. Because the definition of bust is very broad and overused, because if you're looking at what we have here, by definition, Baker was a bust for Cleveland. But he is not a bust literally. He is a NFL quarterback. He's a starting NFL quarterback who is capable of leading a team to a playoff run like we are seeing right now.
But was he number one pick? But was he number one pick?
But either way, though. I mean, because
I get what you're saying, but don't you especially in that draft class? Now that you see Lamar or Josh Allen, like he probably shouldn't have been the number one pick.
Doesn't matter though, because at the end of the day, if you're talking about any pick hitting in the NFL draft, it's still a win. And so it's because look at the reality.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
So I understand the pressure, though, number one overall. I do get that. But back to the topic at hand here. The Eagles suck. The Eagles continue to suck, and I love to see it. Cry, Eagles, cry. It's a beautiful thing we can all enjoy. I'll stop now. Somebody else take the wheel, but thank goodness they lost.
Well, let's shout out to our Michigan guy, David in Detroit, getting off of their playoff hump for Stafford's homecoming. 24-23. Literal tears.
Yeah.
Surprised that the under hit. I thought it would be a couple more touchdowns scored by both teams, but
especially in that first half. I mean, wasn't it like 21-17 at halftime or something? Or
I think they both scored back-to-back touchdowns on their first two possessions. I think.
It was like ping pong.
But
here's a situation, right, where both those teams, started with Detroit, where they're like, we need to go in a different direction with our, stud number one pick quarterback. Stafford was the guy, couldn't do it for years, didn't even really get close. They ship him off to LA. He wins the Super Bowl. LA dumps Goff to the curb and thinks that it was a throw-in deal with Detroit. But again, the system changes, and in quick order, the Lions are hosting a divisional playoff game.
I guess you could say that's a win-win trade, though, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Here's
the thing, though. Jared Goff's still 29 years old, guys.
Well, I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing, and we'll never know the answer. But if Jared Goff stays in LA, do they win the Super Bowl that year?
No,
I don't know. I don't know. You don't think
I
they do?
I know. I think it's pretty safe to say they would not have. He needed a change of it. Yeah. Well, I mean, he took him there a couple years before that, sure, but then the 2 years or 3 years after they went to the Super Bowl and lost, he just didn't have it for whatever reason. I mean,
that change of scenery definitely lit something in him, didn't it?
That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes some of these guys just need a change of scenery for one reason or another, and it's worked. I mean, I don't think Stafford necessarily needed a change of scenery. He played just fine in Detroit, but he was never going to win a championship in Detroit either. He needed to move, and I totally understand his reason for wanting to leave. Same reason Barry Sanders wanted to leave. Same reason Calvin Johnson wanted to leave. He just had an opportunity to actually continue his career, go somewhere else, and win a championship. And I think Jared Goff was, like I said, he just needed that change of scenery for whatever reason. And I think he's even said it in interviews too. So I think it was definitely a win-win. I think in long term, though, I think Detroit wins more than the Rams do from that, because I don't think Stafford's going to be around much longer.
If they don't win a championship, though? Do they?
Well, I don't know, but I don't think Stafford's going to be around much longer.
Well, let me throw this out here to you guys quick, and I actually will shut up, I promise. But you have Jared, believe it or not, but you have Jared Goff, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Josh Pascal, Roderick Martin, and Afidu Melifonwu, I can't say his name, is the Hall in that Stafford trade.
Wow.
Those are all prominent players on this team that are young players that are going to be there for a while, that are building this core that just won a division for the first time in 30 years for Detroit. Yep. I understand Super Bowls are the goal, but there's still something said for Detroit and Detroit fans that they won their first division, host their first playoff in 30 years. That does matter. Like we can joke around about it being silly to hang a banner for a division championship, but it means something to Detroit. And I can appreciate that for them because I was here in Green Bay when it mattered to us too back in the early 90s, and we would have been terrible for almost 2 decades. Yep. Like it starts somewhere. So
I know. I went through it the last 20 years. I know.
But what I'm saying is that even if this team doesn't do it for Detroit, I think that it sets the standard for Detroit to build that team. That if Detroit wins one in the next 20 years, it's still set that standard to give that projection for them.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So like I said,
I agree. I think in the long run, you're definitely going to have more of a crack at it than the Rams are based off of that trade. So I guess you can call that a win. It does boil down to championships, in my opinion, and that's kind of where if they only ever kind of don't quite get there, even if they don't reach. I'll say this: if they reach the Super Bowl, then I think that's a win all the way for Detroit. But if they don't quite get there and they keep getting a sniff or get knocked out in the divisional round, that type of thing, then I still think you have to give the edge a little bit to Los Angeles, just because they did end up finishing the deal off that trade.
Fair,
yeah. Sure, okay.
All right. Chiefs put the high-flying Finns on ice. Don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm impressed with the fact that we were able to score offensive touchdowns. Although it was only 2, that's all we needed.
Should have had a lot more, honestly. You guys were cooking.
We're putting it together, and I know nobody wants to say that the Chiefs are a scary team. And I heard the talking heads put them as if they were power ranked them, they're the 7. But
I don't believe that.
You gotta look at Reed, Kelsey, Mahomes, this defense, and marginally healthy
defense alone, and Mahomes. That's all. I mean, that's it. I mean,
defense,
that's all you really need to say.
Defense and a cold weather kicker, right? I mean,
yeah.
Butker's kicking a freaking ice block, 40, 50 yards. You got it. So it was a good game. It was a good game to watch in person. It was a good game to watch the film and the highlights afterwards. And the Dolphins, I don't know, man. They're a team that 70-point game was very, very long ago. And you look at some of the other struggles that they had, maybe they're a really good mediocre team, or their defense is banged up too. So I don't know. I don't sleep on the Dolphins. They're going to be right back in there. You got something to worry about.
I think they're a good early season, good weather team, but I think we've kind of proven at this point, going last year to Buffalo, this year to Kansas City, when the weather gets bad, that speed element is taken away. It's just not good enough anymore. I think they need to do something to get a little bit more physical and have another option other than just speed.
Yeah.
Where I'll go with this, so too, to your point, Mark, I think is spot on though. When you have their entire linebacking core was hurt that game.
Agreed. They're damaged.
The defense was hurt, but Troy, I'm going to agree with you though. Raheem Mostert and Aiken are both good running backs in their own right, but there's not a bruiser back. And if I'm looking at the Dolphins right now, I'm going to throw a situation out there, guys. Not sure the money's there for it, but Derrick Henry to me is that piece that changes the Dolphins to this game looks different. If you have a Derrick Henry or even an old Derrick Henry, just to cause that threat, changes that story a little bit, makes it more interesting.
Do you keep all 3 options then, or do you move one of the other guys? They obviously don't move a Shane. I mean, you have to move Mostert if you're going to only keep 2, right?
Well, you don't though, because Mostert's cheap too right now. They're all cheap, besides Henry. And so you have that option right now where you have enough cheap contracts there, and Henry should be cheaper now too, where he's at in his career. So
Raheem Mostert's going to be 32 years old. He's going to be the odd man out.
And he's scored more touchdowns this year than he has his whole career combined.
He's going to age out. It's a crazy thing, man.
It'll hit quick. It'll hit quick. It does with receivers. It does with running backs. It always does. Yeah.
But I think that's where you can put a guy like Henry though. He can go touchdown ball for them. He can go be that power back in those short yard situations. So you're saving Tua from getting himself banged up. You can let those guys use their speed where they should use it, where there's space, and let him take the bruising because he can. The man's a beast.
I think they need a solid possession receiver too, and I think they're missing that.
I think Derrick Henry's also 30 years old, so I don't know. I like the idea, but I don't think that 30-year-old
AJ Dillon would be an interesting fit for them too.
That would be. You're right.
30-year-old running backs, man. 30-year-old running backs. All right. Bills beat the Steelers, a team that had no business being in the playoffs, but it was more competitive than the score dictated. Troy, how was your blood pressure during that game?
No, I would agree. If for whatever reason it feels like the Bills kind of let off the gas there a little bit, or just kind of got into a funk about, I don't know, midway through the second quarter, something like that. And the Steelers kind of eked their way back in. At one point, they had it to a one-score game, and I was kind of thinking, I've seen this script before. So, I was getting a little worried.
TJ, on the 52-yard punchy face scramble for a touchdown, did he go for the fake slide, or did he move his body weight to go towards the sideline?
I think he moved his body weight to go to the sideline. You can – the initiation of a slide – you can tell the way that his body was, that was definitely a move towards the side. I mean, if he was going to go down for that slide, his ass would go down even lower than what he is, and you would see his leg kind of curl in. So, yeah, I don't like punchy face, but that run was actually pretty nice.
And if anything, he looked like he was bracing more for a hit than
Well, then he ended up running over Peterson.
I can make that hole right there. And bye-bye.
I do think that, I don't know. I think he thought about sliding. I don't know if it was a fake slide, but I think he thought about sliding, and then he realized, wait, they're 6 yards deep. No, I'm going to keep going.
Well, I mean, and if you look at the aerial view of it, because they show, I mean, like when you can look at game films that the teams have, when you look at him, I think it was him and one other dude like right at him. He thought about it, and then he came back up, trucked them, and just went straight up to the next level, and that's where he got that next level, and that's where and that's where when you look at his decision making as a quarterback, that's pretty phenomenal. I mean, we've seen fake slides before, but I think that one, I wouldn't even call it a fake slide. I think that was more of a.
I think he was following his block. I think he was like, I'm going to take it to the sideline.
I think it was a hesitation.
And then he did
it was like a hesitation, like instinct type of deal. For like, all right, I'm a quarterback. I don't want to get myself killed, so let me see. Yeah. And then as he's going down, he's like, okay, wide open field.
Wait, there's an opening. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's obviously hard for me to see, but what I seen an end zone angle. I seen where he was running towards the end zone, the camera that was facing towards him. And that angle at all, I don't see anywhere where it looks like he was down low, like he was going to slide. Like it looks like he literally was setting up a block or thinking about cutting in or you know what I mean? Like bracing for a hit, slowing down, that type of thing. And then I think all of a sudden he's seen an opening and he's like, wait a minute, I can get through there. And then as he just took off, that was it.
See, it's funny because Troy, you're in the PA area, and I picked up on a PA Sports Talk. Guys from Pittsburgh said if TJ Watt was there, that game would be so much different. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all.
Because I thought the offensive line did a really good job of handling the pressure. And I don't know. I mean, granted, TJ Watt's amazing. I'm not going to take that away from him. But is one guy really going to change your defensive scheme that much? Because they have other good pass rushers behind him. Between Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward and Nick Herbig. And I mean, they have guys that can rush a passer. So I don't think that was really the issue. I think Josh had 2 sacks and they were both more coverage sacks than pressure sacks. So
yeah.
Worth mentioning, though, to your point, though, the Steelers are still 1-10 without Watt on the field. So they've drafted him.
Yep. And
they are 69, 33, and 2 of the games that he has played. So there's something to be said for TJ Watt does change the game for the Steelers because those other guys are good. But when you have them keying off on TJ Watt, they're even better.
That's good.
And I'll look at, because that's what I know, I'll pull back to the Ravens with the Ray Lewis. When you had Bart Scott, you had all those guys there. Where do you focus your attention? They were all going to find a way there. Back to the Packers. We had Reggie White, Sean Jones, Santana Dotson. Somebody was finding a way to get to the quarter. They're all so fast. Gilbert Brown was a mammoth of a man who found a way there.
He took up 3 guys.
He did. But even looking, and we can go through all of our teams and pick out different defenses, right? That had that. When the Cowboys had Charles Haley, All these different pieces have had those guys that have done that to the defense. That does change. Bruce Smith for the Bills. But now this game result does not change to TJ Watt. Make no mistake. I'll be very clear in my comment there.
I think it's a closer game, but not. I think the Bills still win even with TJ Watt.
They might have got it within a score at that point. I'm still saying 10 points though, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so taking a look at this weekend, we'll start. We'll go in point spread order. So it looks like the Texans are going to be 9.5-point dogs at open, according to my actionnet.com. They got to.
Yikes!
They're going to be rowdy. Baltimore wants this. The Lamar Jackson MVP chants will be loud. Do you see this being the end of does the ball drop and the slipper fall from Cinderella and the Houston Texans here? Bacon?
I do, but if I'm betting, I'm taking the Texans and the points. I mean, I still think the Ravens win this one, but I don't think it's going to be almost a two score game. I could see I would say something like 30 to, I could see a 30-27 Ravens win, something like that.
Cool. Brandon, what are they saying over there in your neck of the woods? Brandon, TJ, what do you guys got?
I think this would be a close game. This could actually be a high scoring game between these two teams. But there's a lot of pressure on Lamar on this game, because if you go out with the number one team in the NFL and you lose to a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback, that is not going to look good for you. It is. I think this is Super Bowl, or not bust, but you're just going to keep the narrative going that you can't win. You can't win with your type of, whatever your style is, you can't win with it. I don't know what it is. This is your best chance, and everything is lining up for you to do so. You have the Chiefs the way they're playing. Their time to beat them is now. Like this game for Buffalo is huge. Like, you finally got them away from your home field. Do the job. But I have the Ravens pulling this out, but I would not be shocked if Houston wins this game based on the way they're playing. They're just playing football. They're having fun. CJ Stroud looks like he's 40 out there, the way he is composed in that pocket. I mean, did you see that when he hit, he stood in that pocket and took that hit? I mean, you're talking a rookie taking these hits in the playoffs. Like, this game means a lot to this team. So
yeah, he played in the Big Ten. He knows what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
TJ, what's the vibe out there? What are the talking heads saying, and how do your people feel?
So I'm going to say this right now. The high is supposed to be 22 degrees, with the wind chill making it feel like 12. Okay. Houston made the trip up to Ohio to get into the cold.
Ooh.
And they've talked about it, and everybody's like, oh, that's a smart move on Houston. It's a fantastic move on Houston's part. D'Amico Ryans knows something. He knows it's colder up there than it is going to be here. And that Bay weather, and Brandon can contest with this. The Bay weather here, it's nothing. If you can go up north and deal with that, you come down here, you could probably be in T-shirts and shorts the whole game. I think Houston comes into Baltimore and tells the Ravens that you paid Lamar too much money, and they drop a bombshell on the Ravens. Now, do I think it's going to be a slaughter? No way close. I think it's going to be very close. I'm going to say it's going to be a 28-25 game, but it's going to be one of those games that this might be one that everybody's going to talk about when we're dead. Everybody's going to talk about this game.
And Stroud's played at Ohio State, so it's not like he's accustomed. It's not like he didn't play in the cold. Like, yeah, he knows how to play in the cold, so that adds a huge advantage for the Texans too.
And he's played good defenses against Michigan, so.
Ben, everyone's taking the over at 43.5. How do you like this game?
Well, you guys can't agree with me, so I'm going to return the favor. I can't agree with you. It's the under. Look, here's the deal. Go back to the beginning of the year, September the 10th, I think. Yeah, September 10th. when these two teams faced off in Baltimore at the end of the season.
Opening week, right?
Yeah. So 25-9 was the score of that game. The Ravens held that team, the Texans, that is, to 268 yards, 18 first downs, and a 38.9% percentage on third down. The Texans have grown a lot since then. We know a lot more about them. We see where they're at. To me, I'm looking at matchups, and that's what I really want to see. Will Anderson is a man, and that dude is a matchup nightmare that the Ravens have to deal with. And I got my Ravens gear here. I'm ready for it. But what I'm saying is, I'm looking at this as saying I'm expecting let's call it a 13-24, 13-27, something like that. I think that you're going to see the Texans are going to get a touchdown somewhere. There's going to be a play that breaks loose, but I do think that the Ravens and their fans are going to be ravenous, pun intended there, I guess. And they're going to come after this thing, and I expect us to have that thing go wild. The Texans are a fun story. They're going to be around. They're going to play well. But usually what we've seen in the NFL playoffs is this is the week where reality sets in, right? Wildcard weekend is fun. The AFC last week was chalk. Expect more chalk here. The Ravens are going to win. It's going to be a decent game, but it's going to come out. Ravens are going to take care of this thing. They're going to cover. With that, I said 27-13, something like that.
Cool. Troy, you taking the over?
I'm actually going to take the under too. I just think the cold weather, the fact that Lamar's never performed in the playoffs, the fact that the Ravens have a good defense. I'm just going to take the under here. I do think the Ravens squeak one out, but I don't think they cover at all. I think this is a field goal game. I could see Tucker hitting a game winner to end it. I'll say 16-10, 16-13, something like that.
And Bacon, you're on the over or under boat here?
Over.
Taking
over 30-27.
All right.
Ravens.
The other game that's a huge spread for you boys in Green Bay, going out to Santa Clara and the Santa Clara 49ers. I hate that they're the San Francisco 49ers and they don't even play in San Francisco.
A lot of teams can say that. A lot of teams
say that, but so we'll start with you, Bacon. What kind of love are you guys bringing to California?
Oh, we got a lot of love. Like Ben says, we're playing with house money, man. We're gonna keep going. I'm telling you again. This is the exact same thing that happened back in 2010. They went as the lowest seed, just barely eked in. They beat Philly, I believe it was, in the first round, the wild card round that year, and then they ended up going to number 1 seed Atlanta. Everyone thought they were going to get smoked, and they ended up smoking them. Now, I'm not saying they're going to smoke Niners. This is a totally different team. I think the Niners are a hell of a lot better on defense than Atlanta was. So don't get me wrong on that. I think the Packers. I think they're going to pull it out. The key is basically going to be to do almost the exact same thing this week. I think, that they did against Dallas. I think they got to punch them in the mouth early. I think it's important to at least get a lead instead of having to try to catch up to them. And obviously I'm more worried about the Niners offense and what the Packers defense can do. I think Enigbari's injury is going to be a hell of a lot bigger than a lot of people think. He tore his ACL against the Cowboys, and granted he wasn't a starter, I don't believe, but he played about 40%, 45% of the snaps on defense this season, and he was. I guess Bisaccia was talking this past week about how important he was both on special teams and on defense. So I don't know how Jair is going to be, and they're talking about 2 to 8 inches of rain apparently the day of the game in Santa Clara. So this would be a great game for AJ Dillon to come back, but he's questionable right now too. So
his mutter was
not that Aaron Jones can't do it, but it would be, it would be nice to have that mutter that can just kind of pound through, pound up the middle and things like that. And Dillon's been getting better over the week. So The Packers are still going to win. I don't know what's the over under for this one.
50.5.
50.
Oh, 50.5. Okay. Oh, well, I'm picking the Packers. I'll pick them 27-24. So I guess I'm going with the over, but just barely. So
Ben, how do you like your Green Bay Packers going out west?
I love my Packers, but not for them to win this weekend.
Whoa.
So here's where I'm at. Look, it's the MVP is going to beat us. Christian McCaffrey is going to beat us. And what I'm looking at here is,
how can you say that? Not Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's the MVP. Damn it.
Brandon will give me a second here, Big, and don't worry about it. But no, look, Christian McCaffrey, the Packers defense. Again, look at the numbers and matchups. Talk about the other games here before. The matchup here is McCaffrey against our defense. Our defense has been bad against the run all year. That's been a problem. The other thing that you're going to see here is that the Packers, and I'll use the Buccaneers game as an example. The Niners can do the same things to us. Quick slants and seam routes are going to be their bread and butter. They can find those areas in our defense because we've seen this. Barry is not going to change. And unlike a game with the Cowboys where you have a CeeDee Lamb to focus on, Deebo Samuel is not that same kind of guy because there's Ayuk right there also. So I'm looking at this as there's not a guy Jair's you want to focus on. It's a tougher game plan for Barry, and this is going to be Barry's embarrassment. It'd be very embarrassing for the Packers, if you will. But no, I think we're competitive. The Packers are there for it. It's going to be a fun game to watch. It really will. But I think this is going to be another Packers game against the Niners in Santa Clara that does not go our way. I think that we're going to be within a score, but it's just the Packers cover. But I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But this is a really good Niners team. Picked them before the year. I'm staying with my pick for the Niners and Ravens in the Super Bowl. And CMC is the MVP, and I think he proves it against the Packers this weekend.
All right, Troy, how do you like this?
Breaking news down there on the wire down there. CMC wins the MVP.
Troy, how do you like how do you like it? 50.5? That's a lot of points.
Yeah, that is a lot of points.
Sounds like I'm going to get another blowout, which I don't want to see, but
this is a really tough game to pick because I don't think anybody, including you guys, thought the Packers were going to be here. So I mean, it's much like Houston. It's like they're just, they don't know they're not supposed to be here. They're just having fun. They're playing ball. I think I'll take Green Bay to hang in there and keep it close. But I think the Niners will pull away by like a touchdown at the end, something like that. Man, that's a really tough line. It's going to be right there. It's going to be right at that line. I'm saying like 30-23, so I guess I'm taking the under.
Vegas knows things.
They sure do. Yeah, I'll take 30-23, so I'll take the under.
Stony Baloney.
Man, I think the Niners are going to show up and play. I think they're ready. I think their playoff experience versus, this young – I mean, the Packers are the youngest team in these playoffs right now. So I think I
heard something that they're the youngest average team since 25. Like the NFL merger.
Their average age is 25 years old. Like they're first and second year guys. So I think that's going to play a role too, especially late in the game. But I mean, I don't think this is going to be close, but I still think in tight moments that inexperience is going to show in the playoffs. I think the Niners are going to run away with this. I think it's going to be like a 38-14, 40-14 type game. I think the Niners show up and
TJ.
I said this in the chat today. That defensive line for Green Bay is ridiculous. If they can clog up every gap with the linemen, those backers are going to come in and give Brock Purdy a hell of a day. Ben, you're not going with your homeboys, and that kind of makes me upset. That breaks my heart. That really breaks my heart.
You're smart.
Dude, I'm going to say the Packers are going to take this game. Now, I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. 15.5 is a lot. But, dude, I think Green Bay is going to really do what they did to Dallas. They're going to win that coin flip. They're going to run down the field and take the crowd out of it immediately. And they're just going to continue to just take everything away from home field advantage teams. I think that the Packers have this. I say 24-17.
So on that same vein, I think there's going to be a punch in the mouth. I'm going to take the over, and I'll take the 49ers 52-0. Okay, so then we go to we go to Detroit. Detroit 6.5-point favorites against the Bucks, a team that might just be happy to be there. The emotions are going to be running high in Detroit. I think this is going to be this will probably be an even uglier game than the 49er game. Because I just think the Lions, I think the Lions are going to go nuts here on the Bucks, and I think the Baker Mayfield Cinderella story ends here. This is the Cinderella story ends usually in division weeks, and this is the end of the Bucks here. But we'll go back the other way. TJ, how do you see this playing out?
The Bucks.
So I think the funniest thing about this whole game right here was the interview they had in Tampa Bay, and they're like, "What do you think about Detroit? It's supposed to be very cold there."
That was the greatest interview I have ever seen in my life.
He goes, "They're in a dome," and it was just silent after that.
He did the
honest mistake
at holding back of what he really wanted to say.
He could have made her feel bad, and he could have maybe made a better joke of it and talked about travel or something else, like hope our flight lands or things like that. But
who was the interview with? Baker or Bowles or who?
It was with Bowles.
Okay. It was Bowles, the press conference,
And he was like, "They're in a dome. It doesn't matter."
That's pretty so,
like, didn't he say something about if our guys can't handle the 20-second walk from the bus into the stadium or something? I thought he handled that a lot better than some people could have that,
so in my
eyes,
it
was a female reporter too, by the way, so it was like one of those that had he handled that wrong, that would have been a whole big
sure.
Anyway, go ahead, TJ. Sorry.
I think in my eyes, this game is going to be very, very close again. I think Detroit's way too in the emotion right now. They're like, they just won. I heard something where somebody's like, I texted somebody that Detroit won a playoff game. It's like the first time you can ever say you texted somebody Detroit won a playoff game.
It's the first time you could post a Facebook post or a tweet about a Detroit playoff victory.
So I think there's a lot of emotion in that, and honestly,
or text,
the Bucks are good. They're good. They're not great, but they're good, and I think they're going to come into Detroit and they're going to spoil it. I'm going to stay on that Baker Mayfield train. Right. I'm going to say I'm going to take the under on this one. I think it's going to be 21-10.
Ooh. All right, Brandon, how do you like this one?
I think this could be a shootout. I think this could be another game that could be a shootout with these two teams. They're both riding high, but I think the Lions are going to keep this momentum going. They're playing. I mean, they're playing for not a lot, but they now realize that we belong here. Like, we just grinded out. That was a pretty grimy match towards the end. Like, they had to get some key stops there towards the end, and Dan Campbell being Dan Campbell and having some gutsy calls, they pay off, and they believe this team believes. So I think the Lions still pull it out. I'll take the over definitely, but the Buccaneers they're playing good too. But I just think this Detroit team is, man, they believe, and they could be scary for the Niners, in the championship game. So,
Troy.
I think this is our blowout right here. I think this is the blowout of the week. I think Detroit comes in and smacks them right in the mouth. I think this is like a 30-10 game. So I'll take the under. But I seen the Tampa Bay, the good side and the bad side, and they're so inconsistent. They put 9 points up against Carolina and barely win the division.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, I think the Lions are rolling. And I think they're going to keep rolling. And I see this game being over by halftime. I think it's going to be 20-3 at halftime, something like that. And the Bucks are never going to be in it after that.
Ben?
So, quick hits here. The Buccaneers have only given up over 30 points one time all season. And that was against your darling Texans. And they lost 37-39. This defense is a good defense. They've been playing good ball. And what I'm looking here is the key to the game is Jared Goff turnovers. And look, Detroit has Buffalo's luck when it comes to end of games. This is still Detroit, and I have to look at this a little bit and say Jared Goff looks like what we've seen from the bad luck Buffs in terms of if I'm looking at this, like Goff has had some games on the stretch here where he's had bad fumbles. Even this last game, that weird backwards pass was just taking the sack. He can't do that in this game.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers are playing too well also right now, and no one's taking them seriously, and they have that underdog, like they have that Dan Campbell mentality right now with a more mild-mannered coach. When they played earlier in the season, it was 20-8. The ironic part about that game, though, there was one turnover, and neither team rushed for more than 50 yards. Weird. Just a weird game. So what I expect to see here with this game will be a lot more running the ball. Gibbs was not healthy in that first matchup. I think you see a lot more Jahmyr Gibbs in this game. I think you'll see a lot more from the Buccaneers trying to do more of a ball control, or it's a short passes like they use against the Packers with Evans and Godwin to try and do some of that, just keep the sticks moving. I mean, Rashid White's still going to be used. I still say White's bum, but he tore us up. So what can I say? No, I think this is a close game. I think I'm looking at this, and this is going to be whoever has the ball last wins. I don't think that the Detroit knows how to win blowouts when they're big games yet, if that makes sense. They're kind of that team that just they can't get out of their own way. Even last week, did they even score in the second half? It was like 24 points they had at halftime.
I think a field goal.
They should have done better than they did, and they just kind of found a way to win that game. They find ways to win games, but they're not going to blow them out. I take the under here, and I think it's going to be 2017 Detroit. But I think Tampa has a legitimate chance, and don't sleep on them.
Bacon?
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite of Ben there. I'm going to say I think we see the same offense that we saw in the first half for Detroit is the one that comes out here. I'm taking the over, and I think this is one of those games that like Troy, were you the one that was talking about the consistency of this team so far this year? And I totally agree with you on that. You know, are we going to see the team that came out and just ran, just torched the Packers? I don't think so. I think the Lions are, that first hurdle they had to get over was winning their first playoff game. Now that they've done that, okay, now we can not relax, but now we don't have to worry about that. So I think it's I'm taking the over. I'll say 34-17 Lions. So.
All right, here we go. Mano a mano. The rivalry is back, but now you guys get to host the game, and we get Patrick Mahomes on the road in the playoffs. I'm sorry, Super Bowls are played on the road, but
they aren't on the road. That's a neutral site. Get out of here.
They got a 2.5 point. They got a field goal game, less than a field goal game. I mean, at a 2.5 point spread,
it's basically
they're saying the Chiefs might be a 1 point favorite on this one on the neutral side.
Yeah.
What's the weather like where you are, and how do you like this playing out, Troy?
Well, I'm not in Orchard Park, but I think right now they're getting dumped on again. So they hired more shovelers to try to get the stadium shoveled out again and stuff. There's possibilities that they're gonna have to do virtual meetings the rest of the week until they get the roads cleared, because I think there's another travel ban in place. So yeah, not the most ideal situation. A lot of injuries for the Bills, a lot of defensive injuries, and you guys kind of had your injury bug a little bit earlier in the year, and you guys are kind of getting a little bit healthier at the right time. I mean, last time we played you didn't have Pacheco. You guys got Pacheco back this time. I think Nick
Bolton was his first game back from a broken wrist.
Yes, that's correct. And is it Wanye Morris or something? Is he possibly going to be back?
He should be back.
Yeah, I think so. He's going to be back. And I thought there was one more guy that you guys might be getting. Oh, Tony. You might be getting Tony back this week too.
Keep him.
So, but no, I mean, here's the weird thing about this game. Like, this is kind of what the Bills, you know, even the NFL kind of in general has wanted for a long time. They've wanted to see Patrick Mahomes go on the road, but now it almost feels like because he's on the road, the pressure's almost on the home team here to show that when he's on the road, they can affect him. So it's kind of a weird situation. Here's my thing. My gut tells me that the Chiefs are going to somehow, some way pull this game out. That's just honest to God's truth. That's how I feel. But I will never, especially in this situation, not pick against my team. So with that being said, I'm going to say the Bills sneak this out. I'm going to say that they cover that, obviously, because I think it's going to be a field goal game. And I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be much like that first matchup when it was, 20-17, I think it was. I'll go a little bit higher. I'll say 24-21.
All right. Bacon, how do you like this game?
You know, it'll be interesting to see how Mahomes actually performs on the road in this kind of weather. I mean, granted, yes, we all know it's Patrick Mahomes, but you know, is Travis Kelce going to be able to hold on to the ball this game? You know, I like the Bills only because they're at home. I think I feel the same way about the Chiefs if this was an Arrowhead. I think home field advantage is huge in this particular series between these two guys or two teams. But I think it's going to be lower scoring. So I'm going to say I'm picking the Bills. I'm going to take the under barely, if my math is correct, and say Bills 24-21.
TJ?
Is this a Saturday or Sunday game? I'm lost.
Sunday
night. Yeah, the last
night,
one. Yep.
All right. The high is supposed to be 10 degrees. All right.
Well, they've been there, done that, right?
I think the Chiefs are good on the cold weather. Same with the Bills. But I think the Chiefs are going to – I think they're going to run with this one. There's a lot – you know, you said it perfectly, Troy. They're becoming healthy at the right time. And this is the right time. It's play or go home. So I honestly think they run with it. I'm going to take the over on this one. And I say it's going to be 35-21 Chiefs. And I think, you know, screw the cold weather. I see the Chiefs taking snowballs and throwing them at the fans.
Yeah. Ben, how do you like this game playing out Sunday night? You going to stay up for it?
Probably not, honestly.
Not Ben.
But,
Ben doesn't stay up for anything. He doesn't even stay up for a podcast.
So, truth. Anyway, no, that being said, so something else I've heard recently, I've got to agree, especially in these kind of weather games, I'm looking at special teams, and I'm looking at punt return specifically. Looking at Tommy Townsend has not been a good punter in the playoffs for the Chiefs, but one of the best punt returners in the league this year has been Deontay Hardy. So if I'm looking at the overall picture here, I'm going to go ahead and throw that wild card out there as the difference maker. With Deontay Hardy getting a punt return for a touchdown for the Bills is a difference maker in this game. I think this is a very close game. I don't think there's anything. I think the line is fair at 2.5. But I'm going to go with 16-17 win for the Bills off that punt return for a touchdown.
All right. Brandon?
This is the one and only time I am rooting for the Bills. The one and only time I am rooting for the Bills. You guys finally have taken him away from Arrowhead so we can finally see what he is on the road. Just because you play all those games at home does not mean you can play that good on the road. We've seen it with a bunch of great quarterbacks. Manning did it when he came to New England. Brady did it when he went to Denver too. So I think Josh Allen finally gets over that hump of beating Mahomes in the playoffs. You have no better chance to right now with the way that offense is playing. You finally have, you have a chance to finally amend what you have done wrong in the past. So
if Josh Allen does win, does he do the Steve Young and get the monkey off his back like the Get that monkey off my back.
Yeah.
If he does win, if he does win,
he wins,
you're not there yet. Job's not done. You still have to
I
go.
agree. I agree.
No,
and
but
that's a scary thought, Marco. You're 100% right.
I think
because
this is what the Bills need, though. They need this win. I think they've been searching for this. Like, this is a piece that's been missing from them because they've been right there before in the past. Like, they were 13 seconds away from being in the Super Bowl. Like,
no, that was the divisional round.
Divisional round, sorry. Yeah. Being in the AFC Championship game.
But they would have hosted that year. They would have hosted the AFC Championship that year. Yep.
Exactly. So, having that game end the way it did, and then in 2021 when they met again, it's one of those things.
2020 they got knocked out in the AFC Championship. 2021 is when the divisional round happened. Last year they didn't meet up because the Bengals knocked the Bills out. So
yeah, that was a horrible. But I think the Bills need this win, and if they can get this win, they got a good chance at riding out momentum. Like I said, they're my dark horse for the Super Bowl. I mean, they've been playing good ball since they were 6-6. Like, they found their identity. This team is rolling. So
they found Al-Qaeda.
Yep. Good thing.
So I don't know.
What do you have there? I can't even see your thing. What do you got?
It's the NFL script. It's confidential, and I have it right here. It says that the game will go into overtime. The Bills will win the toss, score a touchdown. The Chiefs will then get the ball back. Mahomes scores a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So the very rule that the Bills cried for will indeed nip them in the butt again.
You mean the Bills the Bills and 28 other teams that voted 29-3?
And the Chiefs go marching on. So give me the over 66-65. Chiefs win.
What is this? 7 overtimes?
That's right. And I want to take my pick back, and I'll take the Texans to beat the Ravens so that the AFC Invitational goes back to Arrowhead. Thank you very much.
No,
very good.
I don't know if Aaron got his pick in yet, but before I forget, Marco, I did want to touch on that because I'm not looking ahead by any means. Because, like I said, my gut of guts tells me that the Chiefs are somehow going to sneak this game out. If the Bills do sneak by this game, that's a big game for them to win, and then to have to go next week and play the AFC Championship game, like, that is a little scary to me, to be honest, because how can you get up?
Welcome to the playoffs.
I agree, but this has been their monkey for how long now?
Forever.
Yeah. I mean, the last 4 years.
Bacon, how do you see this game planning out now that I've showed you the script, though?
Well,
no bias.
Yeah. You know what? There seems something fishy about the handwriting on that script and everything. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm buying that, but I think it'll be, like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm giving the Bills 3 points just for being, 24-21 Bills.
Yeah, it should be a good weekend. Personally, I think championship weekend is usually better than Super Bowl. Last couple of years, of course, I have a vested interest in the Super Bowl, but these games, I think the committee got it right. So,
can they please do away with these Monday night games though in the playoffs?
Oh my goodness!
Does anybody else not think why do we not have a triple header on Saturday, header on Sunday? Why are we doing this?
I know it's the same thing with the Peacock deal. Like, why are we going to streaming services to watch games?
Well, I'll tell you why. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah. Come on, like, everything's going to be on streaming service now.
Yeah. And I don't know, Marco, were you the one saying, or I don't remember who that was, but give it a few years. Is the Super Bowl going to be on pay-per-view?
Probably.
What are we doing here?
Probably.
I don't know.
I think we're a ways away from that.
How do these fans afford the tickets?
Well,
they're not fans. Fans don't go to that. That's all
fans don't even go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, fans don't even go to the Super Bowl. I mean, sports fans, NFL fans, everyone's an NFL fan, but like, you don't get a lot of that. You don't get the normal Joe fans there.
Yeah. Not in the morning way. That died out 10 years ago.
Probably longer.
Yeah.
I thought I had a banner for the NBA, but we don't talk about it enough. Did you guys see the Chicago Bulls and their Ring of Honor ceremony that they had the other day?
Didn't watch, but I heard about it.
I saw about a minute and a half of it, and that's about all I needed to see because it was pathetic.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad from the get go. Will we get in trouble if I use YouTube to show a clip from it? I guess you can ask later, right?
We'll be fine.
No, we'll be fine. All right, cool. So let's share my
public
screen
consumption.
here.
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Right? Live TV. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna share this screen. We're just gonna jump.
You're gonna share the whole 30-second clip.
No, we're just doing a 10-second clip here, right?
NBA champion, two-time NBA Executive of the Year, represented by his
Jerry Krause doesn't get a good ovation.
Basketball Hall of Famer and former Bulls general manager Jerry Krause.
So that's Frau Krause. They put her on camera. They're booing. You can kind of hear it change to cheers when they started to figure out what was going on. But the fact of the matter is this was a horribly constructed event. Throughout the whole thing, they did it at halftime. Some of the players didn't get announced. So you have Luke Longley that traveled 20 hours to get there. He doesn't get his moment. You have Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Rodman aren't there. Who is responsible for that 72-10 team?
Yeah,
they took guys from all eras and put them in there. But my thing is, and this was my knee-jerk reaction right away also, in sports, booing kind of becomes louder than the cheers. When you boo somebody so hard, I saw that Wayne Gretzky would get booed every time he went back to Edmonton. Not his fault. He was the greatest player, and they decided to trade him. And there comes a point where the boos are so loud that it's a sign of respect that they're still booing you 30 years later. And the Bulls failed to understand that in today's culture and in today's sports. And they did not prepare Frau Krause that, hey, they're going to boo because they booed Jerry at every single rally and parade. They booed him all the time. That Netflix Last Dance did not put him in a good light. Everybody blames him for ruining it and ending it early. And they should have known that there was going to be boos. Okay, if you want to put Chicago, Ben, and you want to make us worse than Philly for booing Santa Claus, and we're booing a widow who lost her husband who's being honored here, fine, well, I'll own it, whatever. But I think it was more a sign of the ultimate cheer to continue to get relentlessly booed like that. It wasn't a boo, we hate you. It's a boo, we boo you all the time. Like Gary Bettman gets booed all the time and people don't like him, but he's made the league better. But he's always going to get booed every time he goes out there just because he's the commissioner. And Krause will always get booed, but not because we hate him. I mean, we do because he ended it, but because that's the tradition and that's the ultimate thing is you're the ultimate bad guy, the anti-hero. But without him, there's no Pippen. Without him, there's no double three-peat. Yeah, it's a black eye for sports, and everybody's taking it, to the extreme and saying that Bulls fans should be embarrassed and it was terrible and whatever. But I think that somebody missed the part where they were like, no, this is a good thing. Maybe you need to take a page out of wrestling's book. No, we want this, and it would have been great because it would have been what I think it was we're gonna boo him because we always boo him. Oh, we didn't know his widow was going to be there, but we're gonna boo him because that's all we know how to do.
I think I would agree with you, Marco, if he was still alive. But now that he's dead, like what? He's not hearing the boos anymore. So what? You know what I mean? Like, why are you disrespecting his widow by doing that?
Again, because that's the vibe. That's the room.
I disagree, man. Here's where I go to this. You guys know me pretty well now. You know, there's a difference between me and the guy I play on this show, if you will. Like, there's a big difference on my heart and the character I can portray. And I think that goes true for anybody who's in sports, anybody who's in these situations. It's you can boo my character, you can boo the character, but wrestling is one thing. That's literally a show made for the boo is respect. And I think you hit it right in the head, Troy, where I was going to go with this. In life, absolutely. But no one's going to Roger Goodell's funeral and booing. You're just not. You're not going to Paul Tagliabue's funeral or ceremony and booing. It's classless. Chicago is a wasteland, garbage town, not just for this, but for other reasons too. But even beyond my Chicago hate, the reality is it's still just it's sad. I'll call it what it is to me. It's sad because I think that this is where it also cheapens the moments that I can point for myself. If I'm booing somebody, if I'm booing Craig Counsell, if I'm booing Brett Favre, I'm booing because I am legitimately pissed at the guy. I'll get out of my system and I'll cheer him later. I'll cheer Brett Favre, his Hall of Fame inductions. I cheered those moments. But I'll be danged if I was booing him in a Vikings uniform. Like, there's a big difference here. And you boo the bad they did to you, you boo that moment, and you move on. You celebrate the legacy. We're not trying to celebrate the legacy because you're still talking about a guy who was part of your three-peats. And that's what I'm saying. Context is lost, and it shows another overarching problem I have with the Chicago sports fan base is there's no context. I appreciate the passion, but context is lost by that fan base. And what I mean by that is this is why you guys can't get a quarterback. This is why your baseball teams flounder for 30, 60, 100 years before they find themselves again. And this is why the Bulls now are in an absolute quagmire of crap between their locker room, their roster, their fans, and even trying to honor the greats of their franchise. So, look, this is no longer my character. This is me being me. Like, Chicago, you screwed this up. Make it right.
All right. Moving on to Chicago teams, because I guess I've Chicagoed this show. The another organization that can't do anything right. The Bears are on the clock, and they're living Draft Day, the movie, in real life with a quarterback that could get them over the hump or stay competitive, draft capital, and pieces that they need to fix. It's all the talk of the town here. It's a lot of talk on national talking heads. What are you guys hearing about the Bears and Justin Fields? And just quickly, did you see Draft Day? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you get the reference?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I haven't really heard much about what they're going to do in the draft per se, but I did see that they just interviewed Kingsbury for the OC position.
And he has ties to Williams, and I don't like that, but it is what it is.
So I don't know. I mean, Kingsbury had a nice little 2-year run there with Murray before he got hurt.
He had some statistical success with Mahomes at Texas Tech.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe, I don't know, but I just. And this all ties back into Baker and Goff and, whoever else falls into this category. But maybe you're just giving up on Fields a little too early if you do move on from him here. Because I think he's shown flashes. And I think he just needs to get honed in, calm down, given a steady offense, and some decent weapons on the outside. And he hasn't had that yet. Well, he started to develop a little bit with DJ Moore, a little bit. But I don't know. I think if
what were you
going to
say,
there,
Bacon?
Go ahead.
Well, no, I think this is one of the reasons why Chicago is where they are, is because, and I think Ben touched on a little bit earlier today in our group chat, is they have no patience. Like, what are you? Let's say you move on from Justin Fields, and I agree with Troy. I think he's shown glimpses this past season of actually getting better. Let's say you move on. What do you think Caleb Williams is going to come into that all of a sudden he's going to be great? And by the way, Caleb Williams, you little spoiled prima donna bitch, before you throw 5 interceptions against Notre Dame, maybe work on that before you demand that you find out if the Bears are going to trade their pick before you declare for the draft. You know what? Keep your ass at USC for another year. No one gives a shit because you're going to be a bust. I'm so sick and tired of that crap. I didn't like it when Elway did it, but I was 7 years old, so I really didn't care, I guess, at that point. And I didn't like it when Eli Manning did it. You know what? Everyone else seems to be able to come in and work with the system that's in place. It's not like normal life where I mean, obviously you graduate from college. None of us, you know, if you graduate from college with a degree in architecture, you don't get drafted by just some random firm. You get to choose where you're going to want to go to work. I get that. This is the system that's been in place for years. All right.
They are choosing where they want to work. They're choosing if they want to work in the NFL.
Well, yeah. I mean, but and that's just it. You know, if you want to work in the NFL, this is how it works. If you want to choose what team you play for, you know what? You'll go check out the CFL. I mean,
or wait for free agency.
Yeah, or wait, you know, and I don't know how that works. That's one question I've always wondered, and I've never had a chance to actually look it up. Like, can he just bypass the draft and then decide, you know, in June that he wants to go, and then, you know, start talking to teams?
I think it would
depend on who get drafted.
I was going to say if they take him, they have his rights until he shows up.
Sure,
or
but if he says, "I'm staying for another year," if he says, "I'm staying for another year," and no one drafts him, and then he decides in June, I don't really want to go.
Well, then he would go to the supplemental draft.
Is that what it would be? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, I wasn't really sure how that would work. So I'm just the Bears. You know what? The Bears can do whatever they want. They're going to screw it up. I just hope they don't take Caleb Williams for the sake of Bear fans like Brad and our friend Brandon and some of the other and Fitz on the Fitz and Combs show. Or I'm sorry, Windy City Sports Talk.
He's not making very many friends in the NFL.
No,
already.
He's not, and you know, whatever. I can't stand when these kids do that, and I'm sure there's a lot of NFL players who are just chomping at the bit, waiting for him to finally come in. Whenever
he hasn't shown me anything in college. He hasn't shown me anything in college that says he's going to be the next Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning or whatever.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So whatever. I would take anybody but Caleb Williams if I were the Bears, but that's just me.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Well, that puts us at about an hour and a half. Before we go, anything outside of football you guys are getting yourself into? We'll start with you, Ben.
Well, you know, I was going to talk about my Badgers, but they dropped into Penn State last night, so that was embarrassing. But no, overall, enjoying college basketball, kind of heating up a little bit. NBA is not quite to the fun point yet, but you know, everyone's kind of finding their way there as well. NHL is always fun to watch, but kind of the same thing, right? So it's kind of that we have the dog days of summer we get to. It's kind of dog days of winter where you kind of that lull's almost here. I really am focused right now, honestly, on Tottenham Hotspur and their transfers they've made already in this window and are set up for the run here in the second half. So other than that, mentioned to you guys before, but I'm doing a competition this weekend for CrossFit, so we'll see what happens there if I kill myself or not. So might be one dad down next week. We'll see what happens.
TJ, what's good? What are you doing this weekend besides watching football?
I'm watching the college transfer portal, as we are now known as the Texas Crimson Tide, y'all. We just picked up another Alabama transfer, and we are looking at two more guys coming in, one from Washington and another one from Alabama. So I'm watching that, but I'm also right now, it is my training camp for arena football. So I'm getting ready for that this Saturday, actually.
Nice.
So I'm ready to die. I'm with Ben. You might be a dad down.
Hey, good luck with that. Hey, I know.
Brandon,
I don't know. Hey, real quick, TJ, before we let you go, you're kind of one of our motorsports guys here, but you said you did want to touch on Daytona a little bit. There's the testing right now? Is that last year? I don't think Daytona wasn't the first race of the year last year, was it? Am I wrong?
No, it was the Clash. It was the Clash in Los Angeles. So that's one that everybody's looking forward to. Everybody's heading towards that right now. But there are 3 teams in Daytona right now who are testing out the new cars. They do not come in effect until next year. The dark horse this year, Marco, I don't know if you followed it very much. The dark horse this year is RCR coming 1 and 2 with Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon. I would massively agree because I'm a huge Dillon fan, but I also think, I don't know, I think there's that Legacy Racing with Jimmy Johnson and that crew, they're making some moves in the NASCAR world. So I'm kind of excited for this clash at the Coliseum, as they call it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The one in the Coliseum.
Yep.
Cool. Brandon, what's up this weekend? Besides you losing to me in Madden.
Yeah, no, that ain't gonna happen, son. We're gonna keep the W's rolling. Okay.
Make sure your guy doesn't dive to the bench.
Yeah, keep him on the field. You know, I don't want to hit him that crazy work. But no, just hanging out. I got a couple hockey games to ref this weekend. So other than that, watching some football, hanging out. Might cook up some wings or something. Got to get that good football food.
Can I ask? I want to ask Brandon something here, and I'm not saying this to be an asshole by any means, because trust me, I've been on the bad side of teams, especially in Buffalo, for a long time. But how weird of a transition is it for you to go from like being in the playoffs, AFC Championship every damn year, to not being able to root for your team in the playoffs? And I like I said, I'm not saying that with any disrespect. I mean that honestly.
I think we've come accustomed to that since like 2021, when we realized like where this team was actually going because of the decision makings that, you know, one person was doing. So I think that transition was a little bit easier because we know like our defense is fine. Our defense is actually getting better, if not. We still have a top 10 defense, so we're still good on that end. But we know where we're bad, and we've been bad on the same side of the ball for 4 years. So,
and by the way, did I see Bill O'Brien went to VOC somewhere? Did I see that?
I don't think so. We haven't heard. Not that I heard. I know they've been talks of like McDaniels coming back, which
I thought I seen him go to college somewhere. I could have swore I seen that come across the headline here.
If that happens, man, Mayo, you better holler at your boy Vrabel and get that Patriot reunion happening.
He went to Ohio State.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
My Lord.
An hour ago.
All right. So here we go.
That broke during the show.
Perfect. Mike Vrabel situation right here. Please.
As the OC?
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
Do you think he'd accept that position? Because I think somebody's going to want him as a head coach.
Absolutely.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Depends on what he's.
I would say if nobody takes him, he might consider it. But I don't see a way. I don't see a way where he's not a head coach. I really don't.
I think Dallas was a big one that he really is. He should have been right behind him, and Bill should have been one of those spots at that Dallas job. But I don't know.
I heard he had an interview with the Chargers.
We've seen head coaches go from head coach to OC, and then so. We'll see, I guess. Mike Vrabel's been really on the low talk. I don't know if y'all have been hearing anything about him, but there's not really been
It seems like the Chargers are really heavy on him right now.
That would be a good fit for him, actually.
Troy, what are you up to this weekend?
Well, I mean, honestly, just kind of, unfortunately, I get stuck having to work every Saturday for the last 20 years. So my normal work schedule is actually Tuesday to Saturday. So I'm working on Saturday. But luckily I'm off early enough. I get to enjoy the games. And so I'll be doing that, watching some football. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, our whole family gets together. We all watch football. Every once in a while, the little ones kind of lose their interest and they'll go do something else for a little bit, but they'll find their way back. So yeah, that's always our thing. We can't wait for football season, for those Sundays to roll around. Other than that, not a whole lot. I don't really think I have anything else planned this week. I finally am feeling better after this damn sinus infection that I was battling. Oh my God. Just felt like somebody needed to put a freaking drill in my head to relieve the pressure. It was insane.
Yuck.
So yeah, I'm finally feeling better. So I'm just going to be able to finally catch up on some stuff I haven't been able to do around the house. So, and I guess we got another storm kind of rolling our way. TJ, is that hitting you guys too, or?
Yeah, we get ours tonight. It actually started about an hour ago.
Yeah, I think ours is supposed to roll tonight. So I don't know if the kids are going to be off tomorrow, or maybe we'll have a delay. I don't know. So yeah, more fun times with that white slushy stuff out there.
Bacon, what's up this weekend?
Nothing. Watching football, doing
nothing.
Donating some plasma on Sunday, and trying to get the PS5 up and rolling so I can maybe play you in some Madden and do some streaming. So cool. I want to start doing some game streaming on the Dads with Bacon channels and stuff like that. So we'll see if we can get that up and rolling.
Good stuff. Right on.
How about you?
So my senior and the wife are driving up to Minneapolis for a college visit, so I'm stuck with the junior high kids. I got to entertain them. Actually, I have volleyball for my daughter, so club volleyball is actually everything depends on what happens Saturday. So Saturday morning it starts, and then we reseed for Sunday. So hopefully we do well enough or bad enough to have early games on Sunday so I can get home in time for the game.
Oh man, what a predicament that is, Geesh. Yeah. What how's his college thing going? Like, is he kind of getting a feel of where he thinks he might want to go, or is he still pretty open?
He's getting a feel. A lot of it weighed on the financial aid FAFSA stuff to see like how scholarship money will work. But he's got some good looks and offers from several D2 schools. So his decision is going to be on playing time and then quality of life. So he loves the city. He's a city kid, right? Even though we live in the suburbs, he thinks he's a city kid. So Roosevelt is right down in the loop, so he could live in downtown Chicago. UW Platteville is in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. So culture shock. And then so this one is kind of like a third option where you're far away from home, but close enough, but you're in a major city. So, get the vibe. And then of course, talk to the coaches and see what you like. He really likes the scheme and the competition at Platteville. But then he's got a situation where some former teammates and being the first inaugural season in D2 could be, kind of history making and, and play with your boys, and you're still technically at home. He's 20 minutes away. So he's got a tough decision to make as a, kid going to college. So
did you say the visit this weekend's in Minneapolis? Is that what you said?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, how do you feel as parents? Do you don't really care, kind of whatever makes him happy, or?
I want him to get the most out of his collegiate football playing experience. You're going to go to work for the rest of your life. You can always go back to school and get your degree, but I want him to experience what he wants to experience on the football side of things, because that door closes. I don't think he's not going to get 9 years of eligibility like that guy down in Florida State.
I mean, what is that? Is that stat like 1%? Is it 1% of the people kids in college end up playing in the NFL? Is that what it is? Or?
Yeah, it's less than that. And he's not. That's not the goal, right? Well,
no, it's not. But I mean, it's still it's a dream. It's a dream.
It could happen.
Right?
You never know. It could happen. But I want him to really have a good experience at a college level, and then his idea is, go D2 and then transfer D1 if he's good enough. If he gets a little bit of size, strength, technique, go ahead. So
what is he? What are they looking at him as an OT or what?
So offensive line and defensive line. So again, he's played tackle only 1 year and he did really good. He's played guard, varsity guard for 3 years before that. So he's smart. That's only he probably play center. If he only gets another inch, he's 6'2", 6'3", go play center, So,
absolutely.
So we'll see. Shit, be a punter.
Have him play arena ball after college. Fun.
Yeah. And there's more options, after that. But again, right? I mean, that window closes. You get one trick knee and that's it, So, and he already had he got a bad ankle this year, but he's doing really good on it. So, So I'm at home with the kids doing volleyball a couple towns over, and then watch some football and play some Madden.
Nice.
We'll have to chat about that on air, but yeah, hey, good chatting with you all, and look forward to another great week of football. I mean, this is kind of it, where you have next week is just one day, right?
Yep, just one day. Yeah. Championship week.
Go Pack, go.
All right, fellas. Have a good night, everybody.
Yep. See you guys.
Six-pack, muscled up kind of man, better look somewhere else. Yeah, I can stand to lose a few pounds, but for right now, I'm working on my dad bod.